In today's adventure, we're exploring the abandoned Pennhurst State School and Hospital, also known as the Pennhurst Asylum, located in the suburbs of Philadelphia. Opening in 1908 as the Eastern State Institution for the Feeble-Minded and Epileptic, it had the initial intent of treating patients with mental and physical disabilities. However, it only took a few years before the hospital became overcrowded. Over the following decades, the institution became less of a hospital and more of an unofficial prison for individuals deemed to be unfit members of society. The awful living conditions and rampant abuse and mistreatment of patients came to light in the 1960s, but it took another 20 years of litigation before the hospital was finally shut down in 1987. Today, the abandoned buildings are privately owned, with the owners using many of the old buildings to conduct paranormal investigations and over-the-top Halloween productions, the latter of which I was unaware of at the time of filming. I randomly came across an unguided photography tour that they were offering and decided to take a chance, hoping that I could get some semblance of an authentic exploration experience.
This building alone is huge.
After checking out what I could of the infirmary for a few minutes, I decided to head back to the main area of the campus to see if I could put some space between me and the rest of the group and find something else to explore. So I have very mixed feelings about this place so far, or at least the current setup. So the place itself, the history and the old buildings, you can see, are all really cool, but the kind of tourist attraction component of it definitely takes away from it a little bit. So I came here knowing that there was a good chance that might happen. It's a place that does a lot of ghost tours, ghost paranormal tours, that sort of thing. So when they offered an unguided photography tour, I figured I'd take advantage of it and see what would happen, but I guess understandably so, just not to my liking. There's just lots of commercial type stuff around here, like, and I'm assuming it's all for the paranormal investigations, etc., which for me kind of takes away from it a little bit, or a lot of it. It's still really interesting to see, but they've got security on site here. They have 90% of the buildings blocked off. There's far less to do than I was expecting. I mean, you can still get some great shots of, the outside and the different buildings and stuff, but it's far less unguided than I would have expected. Like, for example, the infirmary where we just were, because it's on the edge of the campus and they have a lot of trouble with people trespassing, they basically walk you out there and then let you in for as long as you want to be inside, but as soon as you leave you have to walk immediately back to the campus. And I mean, I get it, people don't follow rules and they're not safe and they're not careful. I wonder what the deal is with those. So knowing the history of the place, it's crazy to stop and just think about all of the awful things that went on in each of these buildings. The state of Pennsylvania, while they started this place to be a hospital, ultimately ended up treating it as a place to put anyone that they deemed as unfit members of society, and that really just meant any marginalized group of people. There's the original kind of watershed documentary that came out in, I think, 1968, you can find on YouTube also, that started to expose the atrocities and kind of the mistreatment of people here. And it's awful. This place, I think it opened in 1903, and this went on until, I think it finally closed in the 80s. And I mean, to think that for 80 years, these things were left to go on, even 20 or 30 years nearly, well, I guess 20 years ish, after that initial expose came out, it was still left to stay open and continue operations, basically. Like, how do you let something like that happen? A lot of these buildings, at least back there, have been torn down, but still, I mean, this would have been a gorgeous campus. And so there's this weird juxtaposition, I think that's the right word, of seeing these beautiful old buildings and knowing that the original purpose, I would like to think, was to actually help people, and knowing that such awful things happen to so many innocent people, and continue to happen with the government's permission after it was made known. Well, the government knew about it, but with the public's permission, basically, like, there wasn't enough of an outcry, uproar, whatever, one of those, to shut it down for 20 years. Now that I think of it, I wonder, I guess it's just food for thought, is there an ethical or potentially unethical component to them offering tours of this place, basically paying to exploit the old relics of the atrocities that went on here? I don't know, I never really thought about that. I know that they use the funds from the tours like this and the other ones to supposedly fund the restoration of the buildings, but I don't know, I don't get the impression that, or at least it kind of seems to me like maybe enough respect is not being paid to the place. At some point, I figured out that the only other building we were allowed in was this one, the Mayflower building. I had heard that they sold t-shirts and things here, but to find an actual gift shop right inside the door was bothersome. So I decided to turn around and explore what I could of the rest of the building. When I heard that several of the tunnels that connected the various buildings would be available to explore, I expected more than this. A single, approximately 100-yard-long portion of one tunnel boarded up at the end. Despite starting to realize that this place had essentially been turned into a giant tourist attraction, I still wanted to see what was left of the building itself, so I spent a few minutes wandering around seeing what I could find. This place has just been wrecked with graffiti. I mean, I don't know what stuff is original and what isn't, but there's a lot of kid stuff here. It's interesting that a lot of the windows have been blown out or boarded up, except for the wide open window with no screen that leads directly onto the roof of the other part of the building. I mean, this stuff has to. My whole view of this place is tainted by knowing that it's super popular for paranormal investigation. Stuff like that has to be placed there for people at 3 a.m. looking for ghosts to find and get spooked by, right? Like, this is the stuff that I get. I get their main thing is the ghost hunting and all that, and that this is almost done as just an additional way to generate revenue. Stuff, porta potties everywhere, these giant like spooky make sure you sanitize your hands signs. I mean, the buildings themselves are really, really cool. Every time I start to get kind of into the vibe of the place, I see something about like, get your tickets here and whatever, and it just kind of, I don't know, takes me out of it. Pennsylvania Lunatic Asylum, established 1877. Like that, for example. Let me see if I can figure out, like, you see a little banner that goes across there? I'll go over and check it out, show you, but it's like a giant, like, you know, Halloween parade in your local town type sign for paranormal stuff. Same way with that, there's a Pennhurst ticket booth. If I remember right, at the height they had something like nearly 2,800 patients admitted here, which was something like 800 to 1,000 over what their max capacity was supposed to be. It's kind of hard to see, but not really sure even what that says. VIP sales. Something entrance. Alright, so I think I'm going to call that it for today's exploration. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me as we explored the old Pennhurst Asylum. If you enjoy this sort of thing, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, share this with a friend, all that stuff to help the channel grow. Thank you for watching, thank you for your continued support, and yeah, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Alright, bye. Months later, while editing this video, I still find myself feeling like the way this place is currently being run is both distasteful and arguably unethical. Obviously, that's based on my experience over one afternoon here, so I'm sure there are arguments to be made for the opposite viewpoint. If you're ever in the area, come check out the place for yourself, and maybe you'll have a different experience than me.